morning. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Inside Nigeria. It's reaching you on Leadership Television. My name is Winnie But we are just going to be looking at newspaper headlines today, Thursday, December 29th, 2022. As you can see, the year is almost gradually coming to an end, just 2 days away, and will be in 2023. Now, let's start with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. Leadership says amid rising deficit debts, NAS increases 2023 budget by 1.3 trillion naira. Amid rising deficit debts, NAS increases 2023 budget by 1.33 trillion naira. Raises budget from 20.5 trillion naira to 21.8 trillion naira. Nigeria's debt profile may hit 70 trillion naira next year. Senate in rowdy session over Buhari's 22.7 trillion naira request as CBN to extend deadline for old naira notes till June. I'll take leadership's leading story once again. Amid rising deficit debts, NAS increases 2023 budget by 1.3 trillion naira. Raises budget from 20.5 trillion naira to 21.8 trillion naira. Nigeria's debt profile may hit 70 trillion naira next year. Senate in rowdy session over Buhari's 22.7 trillion naira request asks CBN to extend deadline for old naira notes to June. The story is on page 4 of Leadership, and for more on the stories, you can log on to the website www.leadership.ng. Still on Leadership newspaper, we have other headline news. We have 2023 G5 governors weigh Tinubu Obi options. 2023 G5 governors weigh Tinubu Obi options. Stories on page 7 of Leadership. Government bomb police headquarters in Anambra, free suspects. 19 die in 2 Niger road crashes. Ohanese President General Obiozor dies at 80. And above the masthead, we still have the ongoing story about the Lagos lawyer that was slain by a policeman. Lagos lawyer IGP orders killer policeman suspension. Lagos lawyer IGP orders killer policeman suspension. Auction. EFCC invites bids for 61 forfeited houses. Orders. Auction. EFCC invites bids for 61 forfeited houses and orders. Those are the stories on Leadership newspaper. For more on the stories, as I mentioned earlier, you can log on to the website, or if you are within the country, Nigeria, you can get the hard copy of Leadership. From Leadership, let's move over to the paper that has similar headline with Leadership, and that is THISDAY. THISDAY is leading with the story. National Assembly passes 2023 budget, raises proposed spending by 1.32 trillion naira to 21.82 trillion naira. Works and housing, defense ministries get highest allocation. Approves 819.54 billion naira 2022 supplementary budget. Fresh borrowing to be sourced from CBN to fund projects. Extends 2022 budget implementation to March. Tension as Senate drops President's 23.7 trillion naira ways and means advances request. Adjourns plenary to January 17. Above the masthead of Leadership of THISDAY newspaper, we have 2023 poll: be professional, apolitical. Buhari wants security agencies. 2023 polls: be professional, apolitical. Buhari wants security agencies. Declares he's difficult to satisfy. Decorates newly promoted brigade of guards commander. OK's procurement of 400 armored vehicles for brigades. Still on THISDAY newspaper, former Pope Benedict is very sick. Pope Francis reveals. Former Pope Benedict is very sick. Pope Francis reveals. The story is on page 10 of This Day. For more on the stories of This Day newspaper, you can log on to their website. Meanwhile, before we leave this day, we have the story that PDP considers, still the same story we have on leadership. PDP considers expulsion of G5 governors, dissolution of party structures in their states. PDP considers expulsion of G5 governors, dissolution of party structures in their states. That is on page 12 of This Day. Uzodinma mourns as Obiozor, leader of Ohanaeze Indigo, dies at 80. From This Day, that is the stories on This Day. From This Day, we move over to The Punch. What is The Punch saying this Thursday? The Punch says PDP threatens sanctions as G5 governors meet Tinubu in UK. PDP threatens sanctions as G5 governors meet Tinubu in UK. APC presidential candidate intensifies lobby. Obi banks on Obasanjo backing. It is too late in the day to go back to Atiku. Reconciliation failed, says source. Governors on vacation, they risk being disciplined for anti-party activities. PDP. I'll take the leading story once again. PDP threatens sanctions as G5 governors meet Tinubu in UK. APC presidential candidate intensifies lobby. Obi banks on Obasanjo backing. It is too late in the day to go back to Atiku. Reconciliation failed, says source. Governors on vacation, they risk being disciplined for anti-party activities. That is the story on the, the Punch newspaper. Still on the Punch, above the masthead, we have the leading story too. Defense heads get lion's share. National Assembly passes 21.8 trillion naira budget. Defense heads get lion's share. National Assembly passes 21.8 trillion naira budget. Senate rejects Buhari's request to restructure 22 trillion naira CBN loan. NLC gives Buhari conditions for new minimum wage. Deserter trained 1,000 IPOB fighters killed Gulag. Police. Reps demand justice for lawyer slain by policeman. Four arrested for lynching Adamawa woman over witchcraft. For more on stories from The Punch, you can log on to the website www.punchng.com to get more in-depth stories on The Punch. From The Punch newspaper, we move on to the last paper we have on our menu, and that is The Guardian. The Guardian newspaper has a complete different story on its cover this Thursday. It's talking about the person of the year 2022. Person of the year 2022. It has a wraparound cover on it, and incidentally says Russo-Ukrainian war. We are all victims. Russo-Ukrainian war. We are all victims. That is the person of the year 2022. Obviously, the Russia-Ukrainian war has directly and indirectly affected all nations of the world. And Guardian says, we are all victims. Still on Guardian newspaper, we have a Calabar Carnival tragedy. Death toll increases. Calabar Carnival tragedy. Death toll increases. That is underneath the leading story of the person of the year award. We have Calabar Carnival tragedy. Death toll rises to 8. That is on the Guardian. The Guardian has a cover story on the person of the year 2022, and it says Russo-Ukrainian war. We are all victims. For more on the leading cover story, you can log on to the website. And still on the Guardian, yes, the Calabar Carnival tragedy. Death toll now 8. Relatives narrate ordeal. Not a pleasant one. Opera as lawmakers hold Buhari's 22.7 trillion naira CBN overdraft. OK 21.8 trillion naira 2023 budget. Afenifere tax NICOM on 200% hike in insurance fee. Wike killed Igbo presidency, says Ohanaeze youth. Wike kid Igbo presidency, says Ohaneze youth. For more on the stories in Guardian, you can log on to their website, and especially on that, their main cover, the person of the year 2022. Yes, we finish so soon. That's all we can take today on Inside Nigeria. We just had a review or a recap of today's headline story on some select newspapers. Don't forget, same time, same station is another day tomorrow. I remain Winifred Gbebo. See you. Bye.
It's time to discourse, analyze, and thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.